Everyone says they don't have time for a side hustle these days. I'm a full-time doctor and often I have 10-hour shifts. I come home tired, drained, stressed, but I still have the time and energy to get in 2 hours of daily deep work every single day. In this video, I'll show you the exact system I use to get into 2 hours of deep work in the evening, including how I protect that time, how I stay consistent, and how I get into flow state fast, even when I'm exhausted from a shift in hospital. By the end of this video, I hope you'll walk away with a repeatable framework you can use for your side hustle, even if you have limited time and limited energy. All right, so here we go. Here is my exact system of how I do 2 hours of daily deep work as a doctor. I'm going to take you through exactly what I do and so you can just copy me, okay? So basically we have 3 steps. Step 1 is time blocking. Then we go into step 2, which is getting into the flow state, and then I'll take you through staying consistent and building momentum. Okay, so first of all, we want to block off a 2-hour window that works for you. Okay, this is what I do every single day, every single week, and I use Google Calendar for this. So here is an example of my shift 9 to 5. Usually I work 8 to 5, but for this example, it's 9 to 5. And then I have my deep work scheduled in from 7 till 9 p.m. in red. Okay, so if you don't time block your deep work, your time's going to be stolen. It's going to be taken away from you. You've got to prioritize this, and you've got to treat it like a meeting, treat it like a job. So put it in your calendar like it's a surgery or meeting. It's non-negotiable. For me, I treat it as a shift. You know, there's my yellow shift in there. And for me, the red deep work is also just another shift. I have to turn up, okay? Just like my patients who are waiting for me at the hospital, I have to turn up at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. That's my job, that's my duty. I treat my deep work as the same way, because if you don't treat it like that, it's not gonna happen. You're gonna be reactive and you're not gonna grow your business. That's how I feel. Okay. We also wanna do ideally the same time. For me, as much as possible, I try and get that 7 to 9 p.m. window. That works for me. That's when my energy's good. That's when I have the time. I'm usually finished work. It does vary with my shifts. So sometimes I'm on evening shifts, sometimes I'm on nights, etc., or long days. When that happens, I can be a bit flexible, obviously, but ideally you want the same time, okay? If you don't have a perfect time, it doesn't matter. Pick a realistic one, an ideal one, and you can be flexible, but try and protect that time slot. Same place as well. Here's a picture of me right now. This is where I do my deep work. A little desk in my apartment, and it's the same place. If your brain gets used to the same time, same place, and same setup, then it's far easier to just go into a flow. And we'll talk about flow next, because that brings us on to step 2. It's not just about blocking out the time, preparing yourself for that, but it's also about getting deep into your work, getting deep into focus. So how do we get into flow state fast so we can make it easy to drop into deep work? For those of you that don't know what flow state is, it's basically a state of mind where you're fully present, fully focused on the task in hand. You're maximally intentional. You're executing a challenging task, but not too difficult. And it's been shown that in this state, you're far more productive, up to 500% more productive than if you were to just be working on something with some distractions, going in and out of work. When we set up our deep work, we want our 2-hour block to be completely undistracted, okay? And in this way, we can access flow state, be really present, and be far more productive, okay? And with limited time like ourselves, we want to maximize the productivity and the deep work. So by having the same time, same place, same setup, this trains your brain with repetition. It allows you to be more receptive to this flow state. The other crucial thing is planning your one task which you're going to work on the night before. So you never want to start your work with what should I work on now, or maybe there's 3 or 4 things you dip in and out of, because if you're constantly changing what you're focusing on, it interrupts the deep work and the flow state. So you want to have ideally just one task for that 2-hour block, and really just focus on it. And in that way, that's what cultivates the flow state. You really want to make sure you remove flow blockers. What do I mean by that? I mean, this thing mainly, your phone. This is the source of most distractions, notifications, emails, etc. You want to take all distractions out of your area, out of your room. You want to put your phone in another state. You want to make sure your work setup is clean, is tidy, no distractions, just you versus your laptop or whatever you're working on, you versus your one task. And that will apply again with other distractions like sound. If you have a partner, you tell them, I'm going to the study, I'm working from this time to this time, please don't disturb me. Things like that. And it's very important, it's probably the most important thing if you want to get into a flow state, is to actually remove the things that are going to steal your attention, get you distracted. Because if there is, you're going to have no chance of actually getting into that deep work and that flow state. I've got a picture here of me running because the next thing I want to talk about is optimizing your dopamine and energy before you get into your deep work. So ideally my 2 hour block is 7 to 9 p.m. and that gives me time between my shift to clear my head, whether that is going for a walk at the minimum, but ideally I like to do some exercise, I like to go for a run, and in that way it doesn't just clear my head, gives me a sense of clarity, but also releases endorphins, releases dopamine, and that carries through for the next few hours. It decreases my stress levels and I'm able to have more energy. Often times after work I will feel low in energy, but going out for a run, going to the gym allows me to just have that energy boost. Another great thing that I love to do is have a cold shower. That really releases my dopamine levels, my noradrenaline levels, and those neurotransmitters in your brain just prime yourself to be focused, to have energy, and allows you to be productive and enter that flow state. So once you've optimized your dopamine and energy levels, you want to just start, okay? So I like to use the 5-minute rule. So in my mind, I'm just starting. I'm trying to get to 5 minutes because starting is the hardest part with any habit, with any action that you have an intention of doing. Once you're into it, once you're in the flow state, it's easy to just keep going. But actually starting, that's the hard part. So I break it down to a very small 5 minutes, reward myself for just hitting 5 minutes, and you don't even have to try to keep going. You usually just want to keep going past that. So the key is to make the first step as easy as possible, as rewarding as possible. So whether it's just 2 minutes or 5 minutes, maybe you can reward yourself for starting with, okay, I'm gonna listen to my favorite album, or I'm gonna listen to some music. Ideally the music, you don't want lyrics, you want some sort of beat without any words, and that can be really good for just to help the dopamine, help you look forward to starting. Then you want to set a timer. This keeps you accountable to the 2 hour block. You're focusing on that one thing and you're not going to be interrupted until you hear that timer go off or the task is complete. In this way, you're not constantly checking the time, your phone, or waiting to wonder what time it is. You've set the timer. That's where you focus on. So you're accountable. And give yourself a reward at the end. This reinforces the behavior. You want to keep it fun. And it really helps with motivation if you don't feel like it, if you don't have energy. If you're looking forward to a treat once you've done, whether that's unwinding, watching an episode on Netflix, having some food or ice cream, whatever it is, you can have it, but delay that gratification until you've done the 2 hour block. That usually works really well for me. And I like to, really like ice cream. So yeah, that's it. That's a good motivation for me. Get your 2 hours in and unwind, relax, guilt-free with that ice cream. Okay, and then bonus, you can reflect on your session at the end. I like to just get on my phone while I'm relaxing just a quick 2 minute journal entry on my notes, Apple Notes, and say what went well today. Yeah, I got some really good flow state in. I felt really present. I was really productive. Not many distractions. Or, oh, I was distracted by the sound. What could I do better? Maybe I could listen to have headphones on. Maybe my partner interrupted me. Maybe I could tell her that please don't interrupt me. What could I do better? What worked well? And in that way, you get 1% better each time. You're able to access more flow state, be more productive, and get more bang for your buck on these sessions. Okay. So in summary, for step 2, to really get into flow state, we want to get the same setup, plan the task the night before, one task, remove all distractions and flow disruptors, reward yourself for starting. You can use the 5-minute or the 2-minute rule, and get an early win. Reward yourself for starting, get into flow, reward yourself after, and you can reflect and improve 1% each time. Okay, so that brings us on to step 3. We have time blocked, we have optimized our flow state and productivity. That leaves us with step 3, and this is the challenging part for me as a doctor especially, but very important, is to stay consistent and building momentum. Okay, there's constantly, every day is another opportunity to miss a day, to lose your streak, to not do your 2 hours. Okay, and there will be harder days than others, but consistency is probably the most important thing. It beats intensity all the time, and in this way it keeps the momentum going. So on hard days, I like to aim for just 15 minutes. So if I have a long shift, up to 13-hour shift in the hospital, that leaves basically no time from me getting home to when I really need to sleep for the next day. That's the 2-hour deep work on my business isn't really possible on those days. But I like to aim for at least 15 minutes, okay? So even if on a hard day I can put down 15 minutes, or maybe for you 5 minutes, you are continuing the streak, okay? You're not maybe getting the most out of that day due to limited time, but it works wonders for giving you that identity of consistency, building the momentum and carrying it forward, okay? How do we stay consistent? Otherwise, you can use triggers. You can have the same routine, same playlist, same drink, same space. Make it easy for you to execute every day. Make it easy for you to make it into a habit. Okay, and as James Clear from Atomic Habits says, if you make it easy, if you break it down to a very small amount of time, then this behavior eventually will become automatic. It will eventually become part of your identity. Someone who does work on your business every day, or gets into flow state or deep work every day or consistently as much as possible. The more times you do this, especially on the harder days, especially when there's more problems and obstacles and you still get it done, the more this will reinforce and give you a sense of real momentum, and from that momentum that you feel in the process will come in your results on your side hustle or business. That's certainly in my case anyway. Motivation is unreliable, so you're not going to want to rely on your feelings, your short-term emotions or feelings. You're going to rely on the systems. You want to follow from intention. What are you planned the night before? Do this one task, do this time block, okay? And that comes from intention, comes from discipline, not your emotions. How can we build momentum? How can we help track our consistency? And that's tracking our streak, tracking our habits. It builds small wins, it builds dopamine release, it encourages you to keep going, okay? If you miss a day, forgive yourself fast, reset tomorrow. You really want to bounce back, okay? It might be hard to, you might feel like the motivation's gone, the momentum's gone, but if you can do at least 15 minutes the next day, then fast you've recovered, because you don't want one day missing to turn into 2 days, to turn into 3 days. Before you know it, you've had a week gone and the momentum's gone. You're going to have to build yourself up again, okay? So even on your worst days, aim for 5 or 15 minutes. And if you do miss a day, don't miss the next day. That is my advice. Some progress every day is better than zero progress waiting for perfect energy. So if you're not doing 2 hours every day, it is okay. It all adds up. You want to build the momentum, and your days will fluctuate. There will be harder days, but some progress every day is the main thing. Okay, so we have covered step 1, step 2, step 3. So here is the summary, the final recap. You want a time block. You want to calendar it, Google Calendar, your journal. Pick a quiet window and defend it with your life, okay? Prioritize it. Don't let things come in between it. You want to get into flow state. How do we trigger this? The same setup, pre-plan your one task, 5-minute routine, focus on rewarding yourself during it and after it, and then you can reflect. Staying consistent, the hardest part. Motivation will fade. It will come and it will go. Stay consistent with systems. Show up daily even when you don't want to, even a small amount. Track your streaks, reward yourself, reset fast when you do fail. Okay? Hopefully you learned something from this, how I go about my days, even with a time stressful, long hours job. This is how I execute my work. If you want more productivity systems like this, I have a community, link in description, where you can get more stuff like this. So if you are a person with a 9 to 5 that doesn't have limited time, wants to maximize your deep work, then join that community with like-minded people, and there will be more stuff like this in that as well. So thanks for watching this video, and all the best.